A lot of us are maybe confounded, or we just can't figure out why it is we haven't achieved the maybe relationship or career or health or weight transformation or spirituality or really anything that we're looking to achieve. Or what if you're not where you want to be? You have to ask that question. Am I deserving of achieving this goal? Meaning, like, did I put in the work? Did I put in the effort? Have I done the things that people who have been successful in this area do? Welcome back, everybody. Brand new week here on the Cabral Concept. This is our Mindset and Motivation Monday. The topic for this week is how to become deserving of your goals. This was a topic that I talked about maybe a couple years back, but Charlie Munger, who recently just passed away, had an amazing life of 99 years and shared with us a lot of wisdom over those years. And when I was looking at some of the let's call them Mungerisms, he was talking about something called being deserving of your goal or being deserving of the thing that you want in life. Why this is so important is that a lot of us are maybe confounded, or we just can't figure out why it is we haven't achieved the maybe relationship or career or health or weight transformation or spirituality or really anything that we're looking to achieve. Like, we don't necessarily know why we are not moving there faster, getting the results that we desire that maybe other people have or that we want to model as well. So there's a couple parts to this. The first one I always say is this: don't do and don't model your life around someone else's. And the reason is this, is that you don't know exactly what goes on in that individual's life. You don't know if they're happy. You might see the social media semblance of what they make their life out to be, but that doesn't necessarily mean that's who they are, how they live their life, or their true level of happiness. The second is you don't necessarily know, and you haven't lived in the shoes that that person has been in order to achieve whatever it is that they have achieved. And so whenever we're setting our own goals, let's base them on what we want, not what we believe this made that other person happy, but what it is that we want for our life, for ourselves, for our family, our community, whatever it might be. So it always starts at, don't wish something for yourself that someone else maybe wanted for you, or you look out in the world and say, oh, that might be nice. Because sometimes we also take on the ideas or wants of our parents, right? Or someone close to us that we grew up with. You're like, oh, they always wanted me to become X, Y, Z. And because of that, you're striving for a goal that doesn't necessarily bring you fulfillment or passion or something that you want to actually spend your days working on. All right, so that's the negative side. Now, the positive side is when you set a goal for yourself and you truly want it, that's an amazing thing. That's the type of thing where you wake up in the morning and have natural energy because you're excited each and every day to work towards your goal. Now, there's many people that I've seen in my practice, whether it's IHPs or integrative health practitioners, or whether it's in the health-based side of my practice, people trying to get well. And they're excited because maybe they're working in a job as an IHP right now that they don't necessarily love. Like, we have a lot of nurses, we have a lot of chiropractors, we have a lot of people that are in real estate and finance, accounting, like all sorts of things. And those aren't necessarily bad jobs, like at all. But they have a passion now because maybe they overcame their own health issue and they want to share that with others. So yes, they still have their day job, but at the same time, they're so-called moonlighting and working towards actually creating a health coaching practice. And so they wake up in the morning, they spend maybe a half hour going through their certification, and their mind's going all day thinking of different ideas, how they can help a certain niche of people, what their website might look like, the services they can offer, and they're getting excited. That is natural energy. That's what drives you forward in life. That's an amazing thing. And on the health side, what happens is you work with the right doctor, you work with the right health coach, the right IHP, and you realize, oh, this person has worked with people like me before. They know what I'm going through. They understand my symptoms, but now they're actually looking at my labs. They're looking at my toxicities. They're looking at my deficiencies. They're helping me personalize a plan for me. And now you're given new hope. You're excited. You're saying, we might be onto something. I've failed maybe in the past, but this time looks to be different. That same thing happened to me. When I had worked for 9.5 years to get well. And then I met my mentor, Dr. Pete. I drove, I didn't drive, I took the bus 2.5 hours, maybe 3 hours to right around Camden, Maine. And I met with her at a Barnes & Noble. She was a very, just amazing woman, amazing. She drove an hour south to meet me at a Barnes & Noble to do our consultation there. And at that time, I didn't know what I was getting into. I didn't know that she was going to be the one to help me heal. I didn't know that she was going to be the mentor for me. I wasn't even looking for a mentor, but I was staying open to it. I was just keeping an open mind. I'd failed hundreds of times before that, right? I'd tried all sorts of different protocols over the years. I'd seen conventional medicine doctors. I'd seen a lot of natural health doctors. I didn't necessarily think that this time was exactly going to be different, but when I met with her, and then I realized, oh, I can run these specific labs. Oh, and I can combine Ayurvedic-based medicine with this. And I can also look at my specific genetics. Oh, all of this is starting to make sense. This is giving me new hope. And that's the spark that I needed. So, of course, I'm always feeling exhausted. I'm always feeling tired. I have Addisons disease, right? I've got blood sugar issues. I have autoimmune issues. And all I can say is this: the power of hope and the vision for a new life can energize your body and mind. And that's what it did for me. Now, that won't hold unless you actually do the work and you're on the right plan, the right path, right? The right program. So you need everything. I'm not saying that, but it's amazing when you're in alignment. Now, let's say you are in alignment. You found something that you're passionate about, and you start to ask yourself after a month or 2 months or 3 months, why aren't I moving forward towards my goal? Or why haven't I achieved my goal yet? There's two parts to this. The first one is very simple. Sometimes it's just time. It's literally just time. That means you just haven't been doing it for long enough. Meaning I'll talk with my health coach or an IHP or someone that's just starting a health-based company. So I chat and work with all sorts of different health-based companies. And, they've been at it for a year and they're like, yeah, we still haven't really gained our traction. We really still haven't done X, Y, and Z. I'm like, okay, well, what are you looking to achieve? And it's like this big number. And I say, okay, how long have you been doing this? And they'll say, well, about 6 months or a year. And I said, well, part of it is that you just haven't even spoken to enough people, met enough people, been out there long enough to gain the traction that you're looking for. Now, we always hear about the success stories that, jettison right off, but most people, you just need a little bit of time. Like things just take time. That's part of it. So things just take time. Okay. But they shouldn't take a long time. Like that's the thing. So I got healthy in 6 months. Now I've been working towards it 9.5 years. There's no doubt about that. But I've never met a person. There's literally, I always talk about this. There's one group of people that I hope that we're able to help heal in the future as well. But those are people with late stage cancer. That's it. And again, I want to be able to help those people as well to a greater degree. And we're working towards that. It's not like we're not. Just trying to combine like what is the best of natural and conventional therapies for people with later stage cancer. We give them the best health outcomes, hopefully to be able to survive. That's what we can do. But everything else, blood pressure, cardiovascular, diabetes, autoimmune, gut issues, histamines, allergies, sleep, mood, all of that can be fixed within 6 months to a year maximum. So that's the timeline. So if you're asking why haven't I healed after 3 weeks, well, you may just need some time. But if it's been a year, no, it's just you're not on the right plan, right? You're not working on the right deeper level foundational based health that you can really only find by going deeper, like through at-home lab testing. That's the truth. You're not going to find it alone on blood work. Blood work's not going to show you your heavy metals. Excuse me. It's not going to show you gut issues. It's not going to show you candida overgrowth or bacterial overgrowth in the gut. It's not going to show you H. pylori. Very unlikely to show you any parasites. It's not going to show you most likely food sensitivities that you're looking for from an IgG perspective. Definitely not going to show you quality levels of cortisol throughout the day. So it's just not going to show you what you need to know. That's the issue. So blood work is amazing. Everybody should run it every 6 to 12 months, but you need to look deeper at your health if you want to get healthier. Okay. So that's just, going off on a little bit of a tangent. But when I look at this and I would just ask you to ask yourself, because I'm doing the same thing for myself. So every year I like to up level my life in all areas. And we're going to kind of go through that right now. But I want you to ask, as you're going through this, let me give you the first example. When you're looking to lose weight, or gain weight or transform your body in terms of muscle or whatever it is that you're looking to do. Your goals are your goals, right? And they're great. Everybody's goals are subjective to them, and it's fantastic. But, let's just say you want to lose 40 pounds. You want to gain more shape to your shoulders and your arms. You want to flatten out your stomach. You want to do whatever it is that you want for body transformation. Okay. And you're not there within, let's just say, 3 to 6 months. Okay. Because you can lose 30 pounds for sure, and within 6 months total, right? Like maximum. That's what would that be? In 6 months, losing 30 pounds, 5 pounds a month, right? So, when we look at that, yeah, you can absolutely do that. So like, what if you're not there? Or what if you're not where you want to be? You have to ask that question. You have to go back to what I spoke about years ago on the podcast, and what Charlie Munger, one of his wisdoms was, am I deserving of achieving this goal? So if you want to be in, I'm just going to say phenomenal shape, but phenomenal shape is obviously subjective, like for who, right? Are you deserving of that? Meaning, like, are you actually putting in that work? Are you focusing on the nutrition? Not most days, but basically every day. With maybe like one cheat meal or so, or flex meal per week, maybe 2, right? And this is doing it obviously without being, chemically enhanced. I'm not talking about that because you can have a lot more leeway there. But I'm saying, like, you're doing this naturally. Are you deserving of it? Is your nutrition on point? Are you exercising most days of the week? Are you getting your sleep where it needs to be? Have you looked at your stress levels, cortisol levels? Like, all of these things, are all of those optimized? Are you deficient in certain nutrients like vitamin D? So you have to ask yourself, if you're not there yet, is it just because, well, maybe you're not deserving yet of that goal? And I don't want us to be harsh or, too severe with ourselves, but it is something worth thinking about. And I do this with myself too. So it's like, oh, I want to be, here. Okay, well, like, did I put in the work? Did I put in the effort? Have I done the things that people who have been successful in this area do? And if I'm really realistic and I'm just talking to myself, if the answer is no, well, I can't be too upset, because I obviously didn't want it bad enough, or it wasn't a big enough priority because something else took over for it. Or I would have put in the effort. Like, that's the truth, right? Let's go over another one for your health. Okay. Yeah, honestly, you have to ask yourself, if you've been working on your health for a year now, why aren't you well? Now, part of it is just information. You might not be in the right plan. But if you're working with a practitioner who's worked with other people and helped them get well, and you're following a similar plan, and you hope to get a similar outcome, you have to ask yourself, how close am I following that plan, right? Have I started to add in my own things that might not necessarily be a part of that plan, right? Am I taking my nutritional supplements on a daily basis? Am I getting the proper amount of sleep? Am I getting my steps in? Like, am I doing all the things that I need to do in order to hit whatever that health goal is, right? Have I done the CBO protocol for my gut health? Have I done the functional medicine detoxes? Have you done all of those things? And you're like, well, I was planning to, or I kind of did them, or, I was close, or I was going to. Well, again, that's your answer. Now, it doesn't mean to scold yourself. It just means like, well, okay, if you really want this, now you know, because most people know, like, we know what we need to do. If we've been working at this long enough, we've hired the coaches, or done the labs, or done the consults, or read the books, or done the courses, we kind of know what we need to be doing. So then we just have to ask ourselves, well, are we doing it? Same with the relationships. I'm not a relationship expert, but I know that if I'm not properly communicating with my wife, if I'm not looking to spend alone time with her, not just with our kids, if I'm not doing all the things that a husband or a couple should do, my relationship's not going to be that great. So I just have to ask myself, like, am I doing those things? Well, like, oh, I don't have the time. It's hard. It's effort. We're tired. Like all those things. I understand, and I get it. And those are valid excuses. But if you want to improve your relationship or keep a great relationship, you still have to do the things that healthy relationships do. Now, they're not all the same for all the same people, but, if we look at it, probably about 80% is the same, right? If we're really being honest, about 80%. Good communication, sharing, your wants, desires, needs, not expecting the other person to, read your mind about it, spending quality time together, making enough time for that person, just kind of following the 5 love languages. I've talked about that before in the show, and I'm sure you can find that at stephencabral.com/podcast. The 5 love languages is an important one. It's to understand which one is most important, not to you, but to your partner, and for them to know that vice versa. All right, let's go over just a couple more. This is a fun one. And I had a friend, he has a large podcast. We'll just put it this way. It's one of the top podcasts in the world, okay? And so he has people reach out to him all the time. And they say, I would love to come on your show, happy to do a podcast swap or trade or whatever it is. You can come on my show, I'd like to come on yours. And so he'll share with me, because we'll just be chatting back and forth and, ranting or whatever it might be. And he'll say, listen, I do one show a week. He said, I do 52 shows a year. Okay. And I get to have on only 52 guests. And I have people that only have 30 podcasts completed. They might have 30 reviews of their podcast and they want to come on my show. And I've been doing this for 5 years. This is not me speaking, that's them. They've been doing this for 5 years and, they have thousands of reviews of their show and they've done, however many podcasts that they've done. I don't know, like 300 or so, whatever the number is. And this person, is disappointed that they're not going to be a guest on my show. And, and I said, listen, I get it. I understand. I don't have guests on my show right now, at least, but I understand the work that gets put into it. All I said to them is this, is that they can't look at it from your perspective. All they can look at it is from their perspective, right? And so, but for that individual who's reaching out to this, one of the most famous podcasters in the world and asking to be on the show and being disappointed, you have to ask yourself, do you deserve it? Probably not yet, right? So this person has put in the work, right? They put in 5 years or more than 5 years, thousands of reviews. The podcast listened by tens of millions of people per month. And, you're just getting started. So it's not an even exchange, right? So what do you need to do though to be a guest on that show? Be deserving of it. What does that mean? It means build up your show. Put the effort into they had to do when they started at zero and then start to grow. And that goes for any career. That goes for anything out there. It's just you have to start at the bottom. We all start at the bottom. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. You experiment, you move quickly. It's okay to make mistakes when you're small and you keep growing and growing and growing. And then you do something and you start to maybe get a little bit more recognized. And that recognition then allows you to do a lot of the other things that you want to do. And that just takes time. Right? And the last one I'll end with is less career-oriented, less health-oriented, and more spirituality-based. There's a lot of people looking for connectedness, right, in the world, and they're maybe jumping from a retreat to retreat or, even from psychedelic to psychedelic. And I would just share with you, there's nothing wrong with that. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that at all. Sometimes it can be a great catalyst. But what you may be missing is some greater source, some greater depth that you're looking for. Have you started to read and learn more about maybe some of the ancient texts, some of the ancient wisdom that's there, that's been around for thousands of years, that's survived for thousands of years? And I'm not necessarily saying that this is the best thing for you, but starting to look at deeper sources of truth. And that just takes time and effort and reading and questioning and keeping an open mind. But truly, once you arrive then to that state of feeling much more spiritual and connected and enlightened, you'll have done the work. You are truly deserving of that state. Hopefully today's podcast has been helpful. I always enjoy these Mindset and Motivation Mondays. If it was, give the show a subscribe. Feel free to share it, of course, with anyone you believe it could serve. Take care, everybody. Thanks so much for tuning into today's show. Before you go, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. I want to make sure that you're getting our daily content, not missing out on anything functional medicine, wellness, weight gain, weight loss, anti-aging, living longer, stronger, and all of the most cutting-edge research. And if there's any topics you want to hear, feel free to leave them in the comments below. Take care.